Masterpiece Terrorsaur? Well, not quite. This is Metagate G04 Air King, which is a third-party design pterosaur figure from the Beast Wars universe. Szasse. The packaging is very simple, doesn't really show off very much, it just gives kind of a rendition of the character, but let's get into the box. Alright, so out of the box, this figure is looking fantastic. I love the sculpts that's going on. They really match the face. I've never actually seen the figure in person. I only saw the renditions and like the box art. So this figure is actually looking really nice. I like the general look. They really matched up Terrorsaur's dimensions. They got the great backpack set up. The bird face looks fantastic, or the Terrorsaur face looks fantastic. He is a definitely masterpiece style figure. I love that it comes with a stand. That little stand is able to work both in the Terrorsaur form and in his human form to be able to get him some nice posability. It's of course one of the awkward kind of black ones, so it just has a peg coming out of the middle of him, but you live with what you get. I like having stands. It allows you a lot of usage of those figures. All right, we're gonna give a top-down view of the posability. So starting with the head, we're able to get it on a ball joint. It's just got a nice little ball there, able to look all the way around, full head spin going on. There are scenes in the show where his head does spin, I believe. That might just be Waspinator, but definitely works out right there. Up in the shoulders, we can go all the way around on a nice little ratchet. This can lift all the way up. They have a little bit of movability here to get that full straight arm look. There is a twist at the top here to be able to rotate the arm around. There is no other twist in the arm, so that's the only really way to move it. And then this part moves around a little bit, and it's a little bit clunky there. We got ourselves a bicep curl with a double joint there, so we can get all the way up. That's what I like to see. I like that extra movement. There's no twist in the wrist, so we're not able to rotate the wrists around. If you remove this, you're able to do a twist here, but then you kind of have this chunk not quite right, and then this thing sticking out there. So no twisting in the arm or hands area definitely limits posability pretty severely. I'm not a huge fan of that. And the fingers, most of the fingers are on a single joint together, so the main digits are all on a single joint with a one bend in the middle of it, and then the thumb is on a single joint. It's not a ball joint. I don't like that at all. You can only really get poses like this, and it makes a lot of awkward hand movements. You can't get some good hand posing because you cannot twist the thumb to be on top or any other kind of orientation. It's really just up and down, and I do not like that very much. We got ourselves a waist swivel that works really well. It goes all the way around. For the legs, they can come all the way up. We got a straight splits. We can do that on both sides. That's great. There's an opening there to handle this panel. We can go just about perfectly forward and just about perfectly backwards. There's a little bit of movement there that you cannot get past, but that's fine. That's realistic movement areas. There's no twist in the knee area, so we cannot rotate the leg at all. There's a little bit up here, so there's a little bit of hip flexor going on to be able to handle that. We got a decent bend in the knee and a very, very tiny toe tilt. And it doesn't really tilt the way I want. It tilts this way, outwards, better than it tilts inwards. I'd rather it be the other way around so that we can get wide stances and the feet still be flat. This way it is still slanted and not so great. So posability wise, he's probably in the 6-ish range for this expensive of a figure, this quality level of a figure. He doesn't have it's especially disappointing, the hand limitations that we got going on, and then I don't like the lack of toe tilt and the lack of ability to twist anything around there. But it's still pretty good. I think I've gotten a decent amount of poses with him, and we can replicate a lot of what the character does in shows. So I'm okay with him. Still a little bit on the low side, but all right. So for an arsenal, the character's got all of the guns we saw in the show. So we've got his little tiny blaster, his hand blaster. It is able to be held in either of the hands. They can grip on. Again, because the thumb doesn't really move, you really need to get those slotted into the holes in the hand, and they're a little bit tight. There we go. So you can go like that, and then the thumb kind of awkwardly goes like that. So he's able to hold on to that tiny little gun. He has that quick pistol. He's got his much larger sniper gun. It's not quite to scale to him. I feel like it's a little bit on the small side. Again, really slotting these in here is a little bit of a pain. There we go. So he's able to blast away, get a couple sniper shots off. He can have some impressive looks with that gun. You can't quite get the gun to the eye, so he can't really use the scope, but there's that. He's got the bigger cannon gun, and then this thing also splits into his two shoulder-mounted cannons. So he uses a lot in the show, and it's a nice little pickup. There's a slot right there that it should fit into. It's very tight. There we go. One shoulder gun. Alright, two shoulder guns there. Able to fire those off at his enemies. So he's got a decent arsenal of weapons, a small pistol, sniper, and shoulder-mounted cannons. Definitely fits everything that we expect from the show. He also came with two faceplates. So we got this kind of generic smirk. We've got him looking quite a bit more menacing there. And then we've got him, I don't really know, also menacing. They're all kind of menacing. Let's check out those different faceplates. All right, so that's got a decent little smirky face. It's a lot easier to tell once they're kind of locked in there. So it's kind of a stoic, normal face, quite a bit of a smirk. And then this last one is him looking quite angry there. Each of those plates just comes off, you pull it out, and then you're able to slot the other plate back in for decent faces. There is our full crew of Predacons in their bot forms, looking pretty sweet. He fits in really well with the rest of them, looks awesome, and is just such a delight to have in my Beast Wars collection. And here we have him in Pterodactyl form, Terrorsaur form. His name is Terrorsaur. It's kind of weird. His name is exactly what he is. This was an okay transformation. It was pretty intuitive until I got to the whole, like, collapse the legs into the wings and clip this whole thing down. And then it got a little bit messy, and I wasn't a huge fan of that. The transformation wasn't unenjoyable. It just wasn't as intuitive as I would like. So overall, probably a 6 on the transformation scale. They did a decent job of hiding away all the parts. He's not too bulky looking. It doesn't just look like a block, so that's excellent. Let's take a look at this form's posability. Alright, so we do got a mouth open. He can open a little bit too far. Doesn't quite get a realistic look there, but there's a decent amount of opening shut to be able to get some movement there. The head does not twist at all. It can go up and down a little bit. It can go down quite a bit, but unrealistic again. Oh, it does have a twist. There's a twist. It's just, when it's like this, it feels like it's locked. If you move it a little bit, you release this section here, and then you are able to get a bit of a twist. That's good, because then we can get him looking at different angles and whatnot. That's decent. On the legs, they don't come down very far. This joint here is on the top, and they come like this. I would much rather if that joint was on the bottom, and they'd be able to flip down so that he could, like, land and sit on them. Not being able to do that is a little bit off. These can move around, but they really don't have much form or function. He can't stand like this. That doesn't really make sense. You know, he can... There's a couple of times, I guess, in the show where he did something like that, but... Like that, maybe. Little tiny legs. He won't be able to balance like that, I don't think, but you can kind of get the poses. My biggest complaint is the wings. So there's a little bit of bend option here. A little bit. There's no middle bend, there's no base bend. If you're gonna build a bird-based form, it has to be able to flap its wings. I don't think anything that can't flap its wings is a worthwhile bird-style transformer or any kind of flying-based creature. So inability to flap the wings leaves this thing as a pretty big disappointment in its posability in this form. And here's my full Predacon team going on right now. Looking amazing. I absolutely love these figures, and he's fitting in really well. He definitely fits the aesthetic, doesn't look out of place with this set at all, and I'm grateful to have this figure in my collection. I've really been wanting a full set of the Predacons, so now we're just missing Waspinator, a real Scorponok, and Inferno. It looks good, it looks pretty solid, I recognize the character and all that jazz. It just is definitely a limited figure. It'll fit in my collection for now, and I'm really hoping, that popped out. I'm really hoping that Masterpiece ends up putting out an actual Terrorsaur to add to the collection, and we can see how that does compared to this Air King. Overall, a decent figure, I'm okay with it. It's going to add on to my collection and really round out my Beast Wars setup, so I am happy enough with that. What do you guys think of Air King? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll catch you guys next time.